Have you been told that eating eggs, steak, and butter is going to clog your arteries and eventually lead to a heart attack? Well, in today's video, we're busting one of the biggest nutrition myths of all time. This is going to be the cholesterol lie that your doctor has never been honest with you about. The truth is, cholesterol isn't the villain that it's been made out to be. And understanding cholesterol will change how you eat, how you age, how you take care of your heart, and ultimately save your life. So let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, I'm Dr. Zyrowski. And if you enjoy this type of content, I will tell you I have a private health community called Health Club where we discuss this type of information in further detail. So if you really like to stay on the razor's edge of natural health, click the link in the description below, and I'd love to see you over there in my community, Health Club. Links in the description below. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this whole cholesterol situation because this is really mind-blowing information. So stick around to the end because I'm going to show you how you are truly going to take care of your heart health to avoid the #1 killer of people prematurely worldwide. Now, for decades, doctors and nutrition guidelines have told us something that is completely wrong. It's told us that cholesterol in your food is going to raise your cholesterol. So you eat cholesterol, you have high cholesterol. It also has told you that cholesterol is going to lead to heart disease. What's so interesting is despite everybody trying to pull cholesterol out of their diet, the heart disease numbers have done nothing but actually increase. So ultimately, they're telling us you need to cut out eggs, you need to cut out butter, red meat, steak, and you need to eat the heart-healthy foods. The heart-healthy foods like margarine and garbage cereal. So this is pretty shocking. But here's the most shocking part of it all, is that this information that has led us down this path was never actually based on solid science. The original science was very weak. It was cherry-picked. When they looked at different countries around the world, they cherry-picked data. And then what they did is they pushed that bad science. It was pushed by the food industry, and it was also pushed by none other than the pharmaceutical industry. And you might say to yourself, why would they push bad data? Well, I will tell you why. Because it's estimated that $20 to $30 billion is spent globally every single year on cholesterol statin drugs. And hundreds of billions has been made in profits since the inception of this cholesterol myth. So you can see how bad science pushed out by doctors and anybody who didn't understand it has made many people extremely wealthy. And unfortunately, you have suffered. Your grandparents have suffered. Your children are suffering because of this bad information. So here's the reality that you need to truly understand. The liver makes most of your cholesterol, and only about 20% of the cholesterol in your body is going to come from food. So the idea that if you eat cholesterol, you're going to raise your cholesterol is impossible because, as I just mentioned, the cholesterol is made by the liver. Now, when you eat more cholesterol, here's what your body does. Your body is incredibly intelligent. I know that traditional thinking today in Western medicine is teaching you that your body is flawed and incapable, but the truth is your body is incredibly smart and you have this innate intelligence. And what happens is when you eat more cholesterol, your body actually makes less cholesterol in order to balance things out. Now, for most people, cholesterol-rich foods like eggs have little to no effect on the blood cholesterol levels. And I say most people because there's this very rare genetic thing that can happen in your body to where you can be a little bit more sensitive to the cholesterol in the food that you're eating. But that's why I say most people, it has no impact. And yet the myth still stuck and millions of people have avoided healthy, nutrient-dense foods for years because they were afraid it was going to give them a heart attack. Now, here's what you have to know about this. This is very important. And there's going to be people in your life who are going to tell you that cholesterol is dangerous. I mean, I still sit down at tables with people and they're like, I can't have butter or I can't have red meat because my heart issue. Let me tell you something. Cholesterol is not a toxin. In fact, it's actually vital for you to survive. Now, when we look at cholesterol, it's the raw materials that are very important for producing testosterone, estrogen, or even cortisol in your body. So your hormones actually need cholesterol in order to be in a good, healthy place. Also, Cholesterol is essential for vitamin D production, something that many people are actually very deficient in. And in fact, if you're deficient in vitamin D, it sets off inflammation in your body, which is extremely dangerous for your heart health. So cholesterol actually is good for this. Now, it also is going to make up the cell membrane, which is going to be critical for your brain and nervous system. This is where it gets very interesting, okay? Over the years, we've seen a dramatic rise in Alzheimer's and dementia. And a lot of people correlate it to the inception of this big lie on cholesterol. 25% of the cholesterol, you know where it's located? In your brain. And some observational studies show that very low cholesterol, especially LDLs, are associated with higher risk of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and even memory and cognitive issues, okay? So imagine you go to your doctor's office and they give you a cholesterol medication. They just drive down your cholesterol with this medication. Then all of a sudden you start to have cognitive issues. And eventually you start to have Alzheimer's issues, and you even get eventually diagnosed with dementia. And if it all came from your cholesterol medication, that's a pretty sad story. Now, statins, which lower cholesterol, are sometimes linked to cognitive side effects like brain fog and memory lapses. In fact, I know of an individual, they got on cholesterol medication, and that was one of the first problems that they started to have after just a few short months. So as a whole, without cholesterol, your body can literally not even function correctly. So is the real problem cholesterol? Let's look at what the real problem is, because we've already identified it's not cholesterol. The real culprit in this scenario, when you're concerned about your heart, is inflammation. And here's how I want you to think of it. Cholesterol is like a firefighter rushing to a burning building. And what would happen is back in the day, they would look at these arteries and they'd say, oh my gosh, there's a buildup of cholesterol. The cholesterol is like the firefighter rushing to the burning building. So if you have inflammation in the arteries, the cholesterol rushes there because the whole point of it is to start healing that artery. Now, inflammation is caused by poor diet, toxins, smoking, high blood sugar, and just in general, overall poor lifestyle choices. Cholesterol shows up to the scene in order to heal the damaged and inflamed artery. It's not the one striking the match. So that is why people with normal cholesterol will have heart attacks. And people with high cholesterol don't have more heart attacks because cholesterol isn't the root cause of the problem. It's inflammation. So here's what you have to really look at, because most of us are going to go to the doctors and they're going to go, oh my gosh, your cholesterol is high. We need to put you on statins. And here's what you should really look at. Instead of obsessing over the cholesterol number, you should look at things like the cholesterol particle size, the HDL to LDL ratio. You're going to want to look at inflammatory markers within the heart, whether or not that cholesterol is oxidizing or not. You also want to look at your blood sugar control. You want to look at the quality of your liver health. And you want to look at lifestyle habits, the ones that you're making every single day. And this is how you truly make a difference in your heart health, because looking at these different stats are going to tell you far more than your total cholesterol. And this is also why when you get your blood work done, you want to go with somebody who is going to look at it from a functional nutritional standpoint, a functional medicine standpoint, if you will. This is going to be far more helpful than the conventional model of looking at whether or not your cholesterol is high and whether or not you should be put on medications. Traditional blood tests are often looked at just for the purpose of whether or not you need to be on medication. I'll put a link in the description below to a functional blood analysis that I do all the time at my clinic. You can actually get your blood drawn, do this test, and then you could actually jump on the phone and go over that test with a professional in functional nutrition that will really help you understand how to properly analyze blood, not for the purpose of whether or not you should be on medication, but for the purpose of how do you get healthy. Now, cholesterol, it's not the bad guy. It's actually essential for your health, and the real focus should be put on reducing inflammation, improving your diet, improving blood sugar control, making sure that you're making good, healthy lifestyle choices, and even making sure that you're exercising. In fact, a 30-minute walk a day has been shown to reduce heart-related incidences by about 90%. Okay, that is wildly significant, and I can guarantee you that there's no medication that can do that for you. And if you're someone who has changed your diet and you've been avoiding eggs and butter and red meat, just understand that you're probably avoiding these foods over the pretenses of them actually raising your cholesterol, which now you know is an absolute lie. And it's time to rethink that. So it's time to rethink what you've been told and start living a life that's based on real facts and real evidence. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you enjoyed this video, check out this one next.